today we have a wonderful guest, the head of our city, Mayor Pete Saenz. Mayor.
Paul, how are you? Thank you for the invitation.
Happy
Paul.
New Year, number one.
Happy New Year to you and your family.
And let's talk a little bit about the mayor. See, how did you get involved to become the mayor of Laredo? Why?
Well, you're talking about 4 years ago or so. Of course, I've been mayor 3 years, and I appreciate the fact that people voted for me, and that's very humbling, and it's a true honor, and I appreciate that very much. But again, I feel for my city. I was born and raised here. I saw a need. If you take a picture now and you take a picture, say, 4 years ago, we don't have to go into all the details, all the intricacies, but just compare. For me, the door was closed with the business sector. I mean, literally, with a few exceptions, and so we need to open that door, and I think we have, myself and others. The public was somewhat restrained as well, kept at a distance. I'm for dialogue. I'm for openness, open government, and I think to a greater extent, I think we've accomplished that too. I think people now feel more relaxed, if we can use that word, in approaching city government, the city, and expressing their concerns and complaints. And I'm a proponent. You take the good with the bad. There's compliments, but there's also complaints, and that's what government is for.
Exactly.
And of course, we also had the Nuevo Laredo, Mexico side of this. That door was also very closed. And I think we made strides to open that up, because we're a port. We're the number one land port of the United States, and we tango with Nuevo Laredo. I mean, they're our partners.
Not only partners, many of us have families. But it's true. We're that is the number one port.
We're true, and now it seems like every week I visit with them once, twice a week on issues, bridge issues, all sorts of health issues. But I think we've done some good, and I just want people to understand the climate that I first walked into, and now the climate now. Have we solved everything? Obviously not. I mean, there's so much to do, but this is precisely why I thank you, and I thank other modes of media that are out there, bringing these shows and talking about issues, city issues, county issues. Government as a whole. I mean, it's good, it's productive, it's healthy.
I think you're right on that, because many people are. If it wasn't for social media, a lot of people would not be actually seeing some of the issues that are out there.
Right.
A lot of our actual media, like our news, kind of blocks a lot of the truths that are going on, or a lot of the happenings. They won't tell it as it should be done, or they won't even cover it in some areas.
No, and of course, give way to the source. Obviously nowadays there's just so much out there, and some of it is not totally correct or true.
Yeah.
So what I say is, when I hear something, where did you get that?
Yeah.
What source provided that piece of information to you? And then you weigh it. Based on the history or whatever, or credibility of the source.
Laredo has changed a lot since I was growing up. Apparently, and when I left and came back, and it just multiplied in size. And now there's even neighborhoods that one gets lost in. What is the future planning? Do we have a loop? I've heard of a loop. I've heard of a new bridge. What is the city doing for the future for kind of open up those arteries?
Well, Laredo has grown. Laredo is a big city now. And when you're talking 270,000 people and growing, the unemployment rate now, it's made history. Frankly, it's made the news. We're at 3%, 3.2, 3.4%, which had been unheard of. But then again, we have poverty. That poverty needle hadn't moved, and that concerns me as a mayor as well. I usually say, I want to push our city to the next level. For me, getting our city to the next level is picking up the poor people out of out of poverty and bringing them to a more stable situation for them. That for me is taking our city to the next level. And of course, I need a lot of help. I need people, offering good jobs, good paying jobs. We need the skill training, more education, and it's the entire community. But for me, that's a standard. Before we can say we've gotten there, we got to see that the poverty needle has really dropped. Whatever a significant amount. But that, for me, that's a standard. That's a measure of where whether we've actually gotten to the next level or not.
Have you talked to some of the schools? Maybe some more vocation programs coming of age and getting people trained that way?
Yeah, but before we can get there, we need to identify it. And this is something that we talk about poverty, this and that,
right.
and the frontera, the border areas always suffered. Since I was a child,
sure.
Laredo's poor, the frontera's poor. I haven't heard any, politician other than myself, I think, that can say, here's my plan. What is poverty? What constitutes poverty? Put a face to that, to the poor.
So how can we put a face to that? What's your opinion of that?
Well, no, we've been working with the Bloomberg philanthropy,
sure.
people. What Works Cities? It's a program, and I truly appreciate they opened that door for us there in New York, Bloomberg, and first of all, we have to identify what are the true indicators where we can actually measure. If you can measure, then you can manage.
Correct.
We're assuming that it's just whatever, education. But we've made strides in education.
Sure.
And still the poverty level is the same. That needle hadn't moved. They say, well, more jobs. But we've brought in more jobs. Granted, maybe they're not paying a healthy living wage, but maybe we need to measure that and see if we've made progress toward that.
Correct.
Socially, there's nationally, and we haven't really truly measured here locally, single parent families. You see there's 50% or more of mothers raising their children with the father gone. Socially, we got to address that too, and it takes me, visiting and talking to people and saying, hey, there's an issue, there's a problem here. Get the family together. There's no perfect family. Mine is included as well. We're not perfect, but the standard is there. We got to look at that standard and do the best we can to keep the family together, the mother, the father, and of course raising the kids together. And if you can, it's a broken family. Well, no, what's the second best? Always provide for the kids.
I'm going to talk my personal experience. In the last 7 years, I went through a divorce. Okay, and that's extremely lengthy divorce. That was kind of, by the time it was over, what was supposed to have been 50-50, one got screwed. So I've talked to Representative Richard Raymond, and I've talked to other representatives about trying to put equal parenting into the bill, because there's a lot of good fathers out there, as well as there's a lot of good mothers, and we have the other spectrums, right? But if we can get parents that actually care for the child, okay, you can't live together, you can't make the marriage work, but the child you both love and cherish both, and you can be an equal parenting. I think we have better children that we're going to be growing up. Yeah, because we have a lot of parent alienation.
I've seen studies and data, and of course, we got to, again, go back and measure. And how do you measure? You study it. Right. That there's data out there.
There is data.
80% of children that are raised in a poverty environment, will end up in poor as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
So we need to correct that. Then the other 20% or something very close to that end up in prisons.
Sure.
So the outcomes are horrible. So how do we correct that? Well, again, socially, maybe keeping families together as much as possible, if possible.
If possible. And if not, try doing the 50-50 parenting. I think that is one step. Okay, it's already broken. We can't fix that. Everybody's moving on forward. Yeah, we got the children.
Both
love the
best?
children. Yeah, 50-50. And take it from there. But here in the state, it's one-sided. Everything goes to the mother all the time, and the father's kind of made the criminal. Well, and that's not really. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, divorce, family law is very complicated. I'm a lawyer, and I practice family law, and I kind of left it, frankly, because it's very emotional.
Yeah.
No one wins, frankly. Children end up basically hurt, and, frankly. But such is life. No one's perfect. We try the best we can,
and I tell all the fathers out there, always keep moving forward, telling your kids that you love them. Keep moving. Never degrade the other parent.
No.
Always keep your child with you, and continue fighting forward. One day you'll give more chances. But
Yeah, but that's just one aspect of it. We have so many things, good things coming. The infrastructure is huge in Laredo. Well,
Sure.
yeah, any city, frankly, and there's always that need. We're working very hard toward completing Loop 20.
So that's been the Loop 20.
Yeah, that's a goal for a city and the county as well.
Is there talk about another loop? No, that's going to be coming out towards further out, or is that future? Or
Well, the future is the outer loop.
The outer
loop. And of course, we have various entities that deal with transportation. We have the MPO, which I'm chair, and then the county judge is co-chair, and we have members of city council. We have members of the county as well, and then TxDOT. TxDOT is a huge ally,
Sure.
and they do so much for the community and the state. Obviously, so we need to stay very closely to them and work as closely as we can with them because they provide the majority of the funding, frankly. So anyway, we've got those entities that we plan and we're working also too on that road or the expansion of the World Trade Bridge, and then once you exit the World Trade
Right.
Bridge, we need to connect to 35 and Loop 20 and so we've asked for a sizable grant from Washington, from the Trump administration. Hopefully we'll get that. Seeing that Laredo Nuevo Laredo does provide the value to the entire nation. I mean, we're the number one land port. We do over $200 billion here in Laredo alone, and that's remarkable. And that's a message that I carry when I go visit in Washington and Austin and wherever. Recently, and I know I'm deviating, we went to Manzanillo to promote our port, to see another very successful port there in the Pacific. I mean, they've got the Asian rim that brings in these containers, and these containers, some of them end up here. And again, we need to measure and see if we can improve that.
But they get here through
trucking primarily.
Trucking.
Well, rail as
rail.
well. But from Manzanillo, since they have these containers, there's a lot of trucking as well. Mexico is also consuming
Sure.
Most of that as well too. But we figure a good 20-30% end up here.
How do you see our new president with our producing and with the Mexico situation?
Well,
they're taking a lot of heat over certain things. It's basically safety, but how do you feel about that?
Well, there's so many border issues, frankly. Yeah, immigration. Frankly, I've always been a strong proponent of, we need to fix our immigration issue. DACA for me is a low-hanging fruit. Let's get to it. These young people came very young. I mean, they're practically Americans. Let's work it, and I think there's bipartisan support. But it's all the political wrangling that occurs, and of course this goes on and on and on. But for me, that's low-hanging fruit. I mean, let's get to it. And frankly, if he does, especially Trump, since he's been gotten a lot of heat on these border issues, that would help. Frankly, I think his administration, if we can get the DACA situation fixed up. He's still very persistent on this wall, this physical wall, and of course we're against it as a border mayor and the border community. That's going to hurt relationship with Mexico, and we depend so heavily on Mexico. But of course he sees it from a different perspective, away from the border. No, we're for safety. I mean, believe me, we've always been a strong proponent, Laredo, Webb County, I think, of security. We got to secure the border.
I remember when Sheriff Rick Flores was in office, everybody made fun of him because he went up to Washington and he stated that at that time it was Taliban. It was not even ISIS. We're coming over with a coalition of sheriffs, and they brought evidence. Here's the money, here's the backpacks, here's all this stuff in there, and everybody kind of said, that's local. You're not right, but we're finding out that was camp.
No, things happen. Obviously, we live in a dangerous world. The enemy, will select areas that are weak, weak links in the border area. And I'm not saying that it can't happen. It will, and this is why we want a secure border, but not with a wall. And of course, we've spoken about a virtual wall, which ultimately I think is more practical, less costly, and
I think
will
there's.
get us there.
I think. Excuse me for interrupting, but I believe that there's areas in the United States that literally do need a physical wall, and there's some because there's already there, and there's some areas that we have the river and we have canyons and so on and so forth. It's a little bit harder.
No, we have natural barriers, and that's
Right.
understandable. Maybe someplace else, and they do have fencing. I'm not saying that there's no place for it, but I'm saying there's no place here in Laredo since we have the natural barrier here, the river, and I think we can do it, and we've seen that numbers have dropped significantly too. So it's working. Maybe it's the Trump rhetoric scaring people off, and if it is, I guess he deserves some credit. But there's other ways of managing all of that. So anyway, so NAFTA also is a big issue for us. He's the Trump administration also is kind of insisting or threatening.
What is wrong with NAFTA? What is wrong with what they're trying to change? What are the pros and what are the cons? If you look at it, if you were trying to change some things around, what would you change for betterment of us Americans?
Well, keep in mind he wants to withdraw totally.
Okay.
For us, I think there's room for negotiation there,
Sure.
and I think you've heard it over and over again. It's the Trump administration is insisting that there's got to be more American material in the NAFTA product, which is okay. But then again, it's I think he's insisting on 65 or even more of the material. But it's beyond that. It's the complexity. It's this network of supply chains that have been established. That actually are so dependent on NAFTA now that if that goes away, obviously in the short term, I would say 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, it's going to destabilize things. Ultimately, we're going to trade. I perceive, based on what I read, is that it's going to be more costly. It's going to cost more to trade, and consumer prices will probably
eventually
go up too. So there's many other factors that deal with NAFTA, but I'm hoping that it'll get resolved. As a border mayor, I mean, I want it resolved, tweaked, as they said, modified.
Has it stopped the growth from Mexican industries coming into Laredo, or has it not?
Initially, and maybe to a certain extent, it has created this uncertainty of further investment. I've heard people saying, look, I'm going to hold back in buying more warehouses here in Laredo simply because we don't know what capacity or what the impact's going to be. And obviously, it's not going to be good. It's going to be bad. So they're holding back. And the sooner we get this thing resolved one way or the other, this way we'll know, we'll adapt to it, we'll adjust to it, and move on. But this lingering process creates a lot of uncertainty, not only in trade, but also too a relationship with Mexico. Mexico does have a lot of issues. We understand that too, but they do a lot of good too. I mean, Mexico for me has a lot of potential. The more I visit and talk to people, there's so much there. My concern is down the road we may need them. We may need help from them. Say in 10, 15, 20 years, if things work out for them, I mean, there'll be a power to reckon with as far as trade and their economy. But we'll see. I mean, it's always best to treat your neighbors
with respect.
Yeah, with respect, friendly. Yeah. I mean, obviously we
do,
we try to do. Here we obviously need to. It's a must for us because we're dependent on each other. We're interdependent.
When I was growing up, there used to be an old. You remember this old phrase, and you used to see them in the billboards, keep the buck in Laredo. What has happened? I see people leaving and shopping in San Antonio. We go buy cars in San Antonio. They say, the heck with the doctors and lawyers here in Laredo, go to San Antonio. What's going on with that?
Well, keep in mind, the market's a market. The consumer will always seek the better price.
Sure.
And this is, the world economy. We're in a world economy nowadays, and so we need to stay competitive. Laredoans, ideally, I would want all Laredoans to shop here first. I mean, keep the money here in Laredo, but if our prices are significantly higher or whatever, then the consumer will do what they need to do.
Is there a way we can address businesses, not only big businesses but small businesses, to kind of maintain that, or where's an avenue? For
Well,
that?
again, it's we as a city have especially the downtown area. I mean, we can go into all sorts of things.
Sure.
But the downtown, of course, when I first ran for mayor, they were saying, "No, mayor, you got to get behind it, get behind the downtown area," which we did. So we've invested money. We have the outlet shops. We're seriously considering moving forward on this the convention center there by La Posada with the assistance of La Posada. 8th Street. The diocese is now embarked on doing some remodeling of the cathedral and the parking area there next to the San Agustin Cathedral area. And there's a lot of movement, frankly, but it's taking time. But I think for the last 2-3 years, I think you've seen some movement. Now, do we let it go and abandon it? Of course not.
No.
The downtown area is a vital, intrinsic
Sure.
in a section of our city, and it's got to work. And the entire city council, we may disagree at city council, but on that one issue, all of us are on board, which is good. I think we need to give it a little time. We've established some tools there, some financing tools, incentive tools there too, that hopefully people will take advantage of, and just give it I would say within the next 2-3 years, we'll probably see so much good coming out of that.
You have to plant the seed and it has to give
Right,
fruit. And
right.
once the fruit is there, you have to take care of that tree.
Muy
For it to
cierto,
continue.
muy
Because
cierto,
all
yeah.
that's going to...
Yeah, so
And that's something that we all as a community have to continue with.
and I know we're mixing all sorts of things here, but that's one area. The infrastructure, the outer loop, the northwest part of the Mines Road area too needs a lot of attention. That's where the bulk of the industry is. The transportation, warehousing, logistics. Then we have also talk of the 4-5 bridge, which is a very good idea as well.
That bridge has been going around for quite some time, for
yeah.
about 15 years now. What's going on now with it?
Well, there's a certain family, the Glafiro Montemayor family, that has been a strong proponent. They've actually they tell us that they've found or there's investors willing to invest close to $300 million in a south location there.
Is it on the South Laredo side?
Yeah, it's there by Cenizo and Rio Bravo, very in between those two cities. Yeah, right.
Okay.
And of course they're very serious about it. We have the RMA too. It's the Regional Mobility Authority that's headed by Ruben Soto and his group, so we're kind of loosely kind of planning all of that too. When people say they've got $300 million as a mayor, I mean that's music to my ears. I mean, you don't look away from $300 million, and especially they're serious in investing it. So maybe and of course the county's also been a strong proponent, Tano Tijerina, and I give him a lot of credit too. I mean, that's been his banner too, that he wants a source of revenue for the county. But
That'd be an excellent way.
Yeah, well, to a certain extent, but I do remind him that the city has been in the bridge business for many years, so we got the experience and the know-how. And frankly, we don't need any competition from the county, but we're willing to visit and work, and we'll work it out. I mean, I know the judge and county commissioners, and we don't need another lawsuit. Years prior, if you recall, so much money was spent on that. Nothing got done. It's not going to happen under my watch, to be honest with you. We'll make it work some way, somehow. But going back to that, maybe those $300 million could actually build a bridge. The city could operate it. Some way, somehow, the county could, be involved.
From it, yeah.
Some way. And then maybe the RMA, through a tolling financing tool, could actually start concentrating on the outer loop. And that's from that bridge, all the way down to 35 and hook up to the Camino Colombia road. And of course, another benefit that we were able to accomplish is to remove the tolling mechanism or the toll, la cuota on that road, which should stimulate also some more development in that area. And that of course hooks up to the Colombia Bridge. So anyway, there's so much that, and going back to the Mines Road area, we're in the process of doing studies also to see if we can create these financing tools. The city of Laredo and Webb County will always need money for seed money, for shovel-ready money. So, and we're always kind of scrambling, and as I told management, and this manager now is more receptive to that before, which is very difficult, but it takes time to educate, to feel comfortable. But now I think we have a city manager, Horacio de Leon, that is very bright, very capable person that is willing to entertain these mechanisms, these
Sure.
financing mechanisms. So maybe create a TRZ or some sort of TERS, low impact, because I know managers, or they go into shock, when they start thinking about this high impact TERS, because it actually takes tax money, future tax money, by virtue of this increment. I think you all have visited enough on what a TERS is. So anyway, I'm saying 20-25% at the most. Create these funds so we can apply to get these road projects prepared. The engineering, the environmental, they call it the FONSI.
Sure.
Just get them ready, and then wait for Austin and Washington to, once they see that the project is ready, it's a lot easier to finding big money to accommodate that. So anyway, if we can do that without hurting the general fund that we have too much, I think. But for me, it's a must. I mean, we're growing as a city. We'll always need at least 10, 15, 20% as part of the city's responsibility toward financing a big project. And if that's the case, if it's a must, we'll plan for it. And now we have in the books these TRIZs, we call them, as transportation reinvestment zones for the South, because the South has been somewhat neglected. And as a mayor, I think about the entire city. So we're now moving forward on some TRIZs from 59 all the way to 83. So with the next 5 years or so, we could have monies there to finance major projects that connect to 83.
And I'm going to kind of step back and
Sure.
forth on what we're going to talk about. I remember when the growth that Laredo has had. It's happened in the last 20 years. Because when I graduated and left in '86 and went off to college, there was a lot of roads here in Laredo, as you can remember. There were caliche. There were dirt roads.
Oh, shit. And we have to give a lot of credit to the people
that were there before.
Right.
And all of a sudden, for I would say from '94 this way, just boom, it just like skyrocketed. It just took off.
Yeah.
And there was that energy that Laredo was building up, and it just continued going forward, and it has not stopped. And everybody that goes in there has to kind of either continue the seed that somebody else placed,
No, by all means.
and not kill it, because it's been actually growing.
Now, sometimes I hear people criticizing, prior administrations, be that as it may. I mean, we all have different
Sure.
ways of managing and doing things, but you have to give them credit. I mean, we're on their shoulders, so to speak, because they've actually literally paved the way, for us to continue in their own way. Some may say, well, it could have been better. Yeah, we can do things even better now. But you do the best you can with what you have at the time, and that's what they did.
But you have cities that had the same populace that are still there, as it was in the '80s. They're still the same.
But you know why? NAFTA was huge for us. It still is. I mean, NAFTA has made Laredo the city that it is. Transportation is, I would say, easily 50-60% directly or indirectly. I mean, that's what moves us. That's our engine, the economic engine that we have. And this is why I'm also proposing diversity. I mean, continue with transportation. I mean, that's our bread and butter and beyond. And I'm saying, let's not, we got to be thinking outside the box too. And we need another driver, another engine, economic engine.
Sure.
And so, the more engines you have, and this is why too, tourism way back then, was
open
economic engine for us too. It died down because of the situation in Mexico. We're trying to work with Nuevo Laredo to open up 3 or 4 blocks.
How has that excuse me for inter.
No.
How
go.
because it's hurt a lot of things. We have a hunting ranch, and hunters wouldn't want to come down. They say you're too close to the border. I mean, people are getting kidnapped, and there was so many stories that was going on, and you're like, ¿qué haces? Because it really hurt.
No, it still does. Frankly, when I travel, elsewhere in the U.S. and they think that Laredo is still very much, part of the situation that's occurring in the Mexican side.
In the Mexican
and
side.
Of course, I correct that quickly. I said, no, Laredo is very safe.
How would security in the Mexican side? Because are we Laredo going to invest in the security over there, or because we just
the
going
federal
to say
federal government, I think, directly or indirectly, has been helping. There's that Merida plan that has been in place, I think, for a while. So I think the U.S. government. That's a question maybe for our senator or a congressman.
How can besides how can I put it? The drug wars that are going on over there. How can Nuevo Laredo become safer again for us to have that tourism and benefit from that?
Again, it's
until Mexico picks himself up to stop that, then we can't really count on that. No, why don't we build our own tourism here?
Well, because we can, but obviously when people come to Laredo, we're so close to Mexico that they want to say, "Man, I want to experience Mexico," and that stands to reason. I want to step in Mexico. I want to, be it as it may, without the security concern that we have. So that's why I've been saying, give us 3-4 blocks to the old Mercado, make it a green zone. And people will walk over there. Have again some restaurants, El Mercado. There's a lot of this medical health pharmacies, dentistry that you see in other border towns. We're making use of that now. People are risking, I say within reason, going to Nuevo Laredo,
of course,
because healthcare, on our side is so expensive, and now with Obamacare, Trump care, whatever you want to call it. We don't have any care, frankly.
We don't have, and insurance companies have taken advantage of that, and I think there has to be some kind of cap to them.
Yeah,
that has to happen. You know what? This is only how much you can charge. Period. Yeah. And
but Laredo, working with them, they're sincere about doing that. I've also spoken to the governor, Cabeza de Vaca. He tells me he's allocated funds to Nuevo Laredo to try to get those 4 blocks more or less. Prepared. I tell them, we're waiting.
Are they going to build a wall, or are they going to put security?
Yeah, probably security. Within a block area where people will feel comfortable. It's truly sad talking about these things.
It's sad
because you and I, probably more so me in my younger days. I mean, man, it was so nice just
me
to.
too. We used to go across and come back.
Yeah, right.
And
that's what a lot of tourists did too. The Cadillac Bar.
That stopped. That stopped. I mean, we used to walk across and visit primos and amigos and come back later on that night or the next day or what have you. And it was not. People don't understand that. Now I hesitate. I haven't been to Mexico in a very long time.
Yeah.
And also I went to Mexico and I got hit by a car and got thrown in jail and saw firsthand what they did with another kid that was in there also, and what they did with a water, ¿cómo se llama? Agua de Topo Chico in the nose. Hey, parale, Well, you're talking about waterboarding. This was going on over there, So when they tell me I want to go to Mexico, no, I'll drink my beer here. ¿Me entiendes? Pero
but we need a.
What's going to happen? What are they going to do?
No, when I visit with the mayor, el alcalde Enrique Rivas, basically you don't have a choice. It's either not do anything and continue to sink, or do something. But you got to do something. And you help yourself, and you help the downtown area, Laredo. You'll help our tourism, and if people come here, I can assure you they'll go to Nuevo Laredo, just to experience Mexico, and that's what we're working toward, and hopefully it'll come.
Can we build a zone here in Laredo? You know what? These 3 blocks right here, you guys can drink beer outside. Can we do something like that? Can we do something like that here?
The city is entertaining, and I think it should be coming up where it's
Because I know a lot
what
of
do you,
people.
what do you call it, open air drinking or whatever.
In a certain area,
Yeah, it's like Austin, I think, has that. Other cities. No, we want to move that. We want to make the downtown area more of a nightlife.
Sure.
Restaurants,
I'm
bars.
for that,
yeah.
I'm an executive chef. That's what I like to see. At first time, the first property that I was looking at was before the city bought it was the Montemayor house.
Right.
And when I moved here, and we're looking at that, and all of a sudden, the county bought it. We were still in negotiations at that time for that.
No, but we need this animo. We can't. We gotta do it ourselves. I mean, we can't wait for someone else. I mean, see, if you have an idea, a thought, or a project, well, look, come to us. We're open. This administration is open for ideas and helping out también where we can.
I believe that. I believe Saunders, maybe a part of Saunders for it to be.
También, digo.
And open. I think open air drinking.
And for the nightlife, the young people también, they need kind of do their thing.
You're absolutely correct.
Because I was young too. I mean, we were young. Well, no, you're probably younger todavía, pero
but
I mean, you need that nightlife,
I just got back from Brazil. My wife's from over there, and you met her, and I was looking at the restaurants that are over there. Well, it reminds me of Nuevo Laredo.
Right.
The atmosphere that it was when you were outside, you were having a beer, whatnot, and you walk to the other one, and you walk to the store. It's there.
See, it's just
and
something totally different. It's an experience.
You need that, but here we had too many laws and too many restrictions that stopped that.
Yeah.
So instead of my kids going to Mexico for another country, I'd rather have them safe here.
No, by all means.
And do and do their drinking and whatnot if they have to here. I mean, we have Uber, we have Lyft, we have everything else. They can get right home.
The entertainment, yeah. So no, we're moving toward that. Believe me, Councilman Valle también has been very. He's promoting that too. The entire council, frankly.
I think that's where we stand.
Right.
Let's make Laredo.
Right.
Let's make Laredo.
No, we can. We have the tools. We have it. La cosa es nomás, you all need, I guess, it's trust and confidence in your government. And that's another side that we're still working on.
I think that will come. I think that will come. And we were talking before we started the show, and I believe that everybody that signs their name to run for a public office is standing up for the remainder of the people in a good sense. And then you get inside, and all of a sudden you start worrying about, ¿sabes qué? How I need to raise money because I want to finish all these projects, and you get whacked up into this rat race. And you have shown that what you stated in the beginning, you've kept going.
Because I've been as consistent, and I'm going to continue my consistency. Frankly, we can't. I want to set the bar higher, frankly, and not that I'm the perfect person out there, but I'm really trying very hard, and I invite other people. Frankly, if you're interested in politics, and because being a politician, frankly, was way back then was a noble profession. It
still is,
and it should be.
It should be.
But somehow it got derailed. Somehow, and we got to fix that at least locally, and we can. But we need good, decent people around.
Mayor, you have a position in the head. You're the head there, and you have a position that you can actually make amends within all the different. How can I put it? Personalities and characters that are there. You're the one that can say, you know what? Let's all work together because we need a distant benefit.
And we can.
And it's you, and it's not everybody else.
No,
it's not Horacio. It's not.
No, I can't. And I've got
it's you.
The bully pulpit. But there's got to be a willingness. It takes two to tango, and I've tried, frankly, and I'm hopeful. I'm a person of hope.
Sure.
También. I've said it many times. I mean, it's got to look good. It's got to smell good. If not, people will see right through it, and you're hurting the city, the image of the city. We got to change it. Once and for all, from de aquí en adelante, it's different. We can do it, and it takes people of integrity and character, and electing those folks and supporting those people también, because people say, he's a good guy, but support him. I mean, running a campaign is difficult. It takes a lot of courage. It takes money, And then I know the flip side of it. I'm going to help you, so that means that you're going to favor this. You know, if you're a person of character, of decency, you'll stay objective. Stay objective. Sure, you know, maybe some of these things will align with your vision, but that's the way it works. I mean, what? How else can we do it?
And there might be, you know, and some other people might have another vision of something that they want to do, in the future it might come out. But, you know, sometimes we all...
But that's politics, and it takes a thick skin. I mean, you can't be lighthearted. I mean, you gotta be a person of strength.
Here, let's talk about another issue that many have been talking about. How about this museum for the veterans? What's going on with that?
Well, that's very good, and I'm glad you brought that in. It's my understanding now that the Our Laredo group, or I think them and possibly other veteran groups, they want to have a meeting I think next week sometime, and they're inviting basically the public, all veterans groups, all veterans if they can, to truly debate this and come to some sort of resolution. Frankly, based on the last two meetings that we've had, city council meetings, I'm prepared to place an agenda item. Because I've heard so many people. I mean, I was kind of waiting to see how this thing was shaping, and it appears to me that there's just so much commotion and confusion, division, and I hate to see our city that way, especially over veterans issues. I mean, we ought to be very supportive and building up our veterans and their needs. And
years ago, I was talking to Dr. Farias, you know, and they had donated. He had donated his portion, apparently, of a house towards that.
Right.
And I believe this Laredo Veterans Coalition bought it, and then the city bought it from there, and then the county got involved. How come it was never built? ¿Qué pasó? What, if you know anything about it, or ¿qué pasó? What happened on that area? Does the city own it, or does the county own it? Who owns it?
You know, the county took the lead some way, somehow. They ended up with the lead, and the city, based on that contract that we signed, or the MOU, whatever, the city obligated itself for $500,000, frankly, and then whatever, and the county also, and then the county was, it would cost more. I think the county was going to take that responsibility. So, but again, these veteran groups were, you know, kind of infighting, and it never got done, and then it got tossed over here toward the Central Park.
But who's building it? Is the city going to build it, or the museum, or are those veteran groups going to build it?
Well, see, that's a question. I mean, those are the questions.
Because if the city's going to build it, the city can build it on any land that the city has.
No.
And if the veterans don't like it, well, then they don't go to that. Now, if the veterans are going to build it, well, then they have to go buy a piece of land and build it wherever they want.
Keep in mind, too, we have, you know, city council.
That's the way I look at it.
You know, city council did speak on that. There was an agenda item, and now looking back, it was kind of vague. It didn't really never mentioned Central Park. So, you're looking back at it, I think it was unfair for basically that community, the entire city, frankly, but more so the people that live
near there.
You know, if they would have known, I'm sure they would have gone to city council and raised their objections. But of course, that happened after the fact. And as council, you know, when the veterans are there, I mean, we want to help the veterans. We don't want to get in bad with the veterans. I mean, we owe them so much. And I think that was the feeling now. But now, based on what I see, and now I see other veterans saying, no, we don't want it there. And then I've heard that LCC is willing to offer land. I've heard that maybe it should be at the old air base, close to the veterans clinic there. I mean, there's so many things. So I'm glad that these groups are organizing this meeting. They invited me to be there and listen, and I think they're inviting I think they're going to have a panel. And so anyway, I think it's good to hopefully bend this and
dialogue going forward. That's the way I look at it. You know, if a person's going to or an entity like a veterans coalition, or let's take the veterans out and Buitrón Academy is going to build a museum, okay? And Buitrón Academy is going to build a museum and says, you know what, city, the city needs to build it on this park, but you are going to front it. That's not what it's about. Now, if I'm going to build it, then I find the fundings myself and buy the land or the house or wherever and build a museum there. Now, if the city says, you know what, we're going to build this for all the martial artists, and you all can put your, how can I say, lease or donate or the memorabilia there, and we'll take this forward. Then the city can build it anywhere it wants. There's totally two different things. Who's building it? If the city's going to build it, then the city can dictate wherever they want to place it.
But keep in mind too, when being a lawyer también, digo, when you say who, say there's a veterans group,
Right.
Are they legally organized? I mean, those people are here, and we're going to be gone tomorrow. We need an entity, a legal entity that can answer and be obligated to whatever obligations and duties are created under this arrangement that we may end up. So this is the point I was trying to make last time at City Council, or at least some time back, is veterans, if you come, organize yourselves, but organize yourselves with bylaws, rules, an entity, foundation, something that's perpetual, because we'll be having issues. Even if we agree there at North Central Park,
for example.
Are you all committing to fundraising? Because I think they had suggested that part of their contribution would be fundraising. Okay, is who? Is it you individually, or we need an entity that can contract. So anyway, I mean, that's just one aspect of so much that we have. But I would like this, to get resolved sooner than later.
Museums like the Veterans, the World Pugilist Hall of Fame that we have, all those are great for the city because people come in there and they start looking for it. Whether it's the Latinos Hall of Fame that they have, and put it out for the people to see. Okay, I went to Lubbock and they have the Buddy Holly Museum, and the Buddy Holly Museum is probably this studio and probably two more of this. And they had his bed, they had his dresser, they had a couple of guitars. That was it, and they charged $25. I can't remember how much it was for you to go look at that. If I would have known that, I probably would have just picked up the pamphlet and walked off. But you never know what it is behind that closed door. So they.
No, but I mean,
you know what I'm saying? So it was
for me, the more governmental entities that we can leverage, obviously we need the county.
Sure.
If the community college is still very much part of the
you had the fort there,
and then we or wherever, but at least get as many people as or entities involved or committed, so we can leverage resources. Because we want the best for our veterans. Who doesn't?
Of course, no, and they've some of them have priced with the highest price in the life for our freedom.
They have,
and some of them have, they've come back, and we, nothing against you all veterans, because you all are what makes our flag wave, okay, and that's just the way it is. And thank you all for your service, but we all need to come down and find out exactly what's going on. I'm all for the museum.
Okay. No, we are. I mean,
there's nobody that's not against for the museum, but and Laredo will end up somehow producing it.
No, we'll work it out. But we need the veterans. I mean, the answer, frankly, lies with the veterans. They need to tell us basically. But also the community too. I understand that those people live there too, and they've got their.
And if it's a park, leave it alone. I guess that's the way I look at it.
Well, yeah, but hopefully all of that will.
But
will get
people
resolved.
Forget that if you go to Chicago, there's a big park in front of the Natural History Museum.
Yeah.
So, ¿me entiendes? So that's the way I look at things.
The main thing is we need to stay cool, focused. And we need to organize, and
if not, we have boxing gloves. They can go to the gym.
No, and stay objective. We all want the best for everyone.
Now, changing the subject on that, what are your plans? Your plans for the next year? What projects do you want to see fulfilled?
Well, again, we spoke about poverty. Hopefully, we can come up with some model so we can identify what the indicators are, and then we can measure those, and then we can address them. If we're making success in one indicator, then we can say, okay. And if not, and again, people think that it's.
What is a poverty level? What is the income level of poverty?
It's about 27,000, I believe. Depending on what standards you use. But I suspect it's around that that area, that amount. But irrespective, I mean, it's there. That's one area. Now we'll continue with promoting job creation. Government doesn't create jobs. It's frankly,
Sure.
we just facilitate them. So working very closely with the private sector as well, and to try to bring them in. The elusive part that has been out there is the fact that we can't get a manufacturing, and when we went to Manzanillo, it became very clear to me that we can't compete with Mexico labor. No one can, frankly. I mean, it's very, very affordable. But obviously, there's product that crosses our bridges and goes to the U.S. for further processing, for value added. And then why can't? And I've been talking to some of the folks, the Olivia and her group. Once this product crosses, and we know it's going to need some further processing, value added, why can't we compete with that? Our La Frontera, the border area, in a way could be the next
step.
Affordable
Sure.
labor. We certainly pay less than Ohio and some other states. Why can't we organize here in Laredo, especially, and if need be, the border area, and say, hey guys, give us a chance. I mean, we're affordable. We're not as affordable as Mexico, and of course, we don't want to be that affordable. We want a living wage, but obviously, in the scale of the economy, we could provide that. So that's where we're.
Do we have the infrastructure to build factories for that?
Sure. Once we know that a company is interested, I mean, we'll organize. We'll, and obviously you need water, energy, and of course labor, manpower. The key is to identify a willing plant that's willing to move here, and that our labor is very affordable compared to other parts of the country. We don't have unions here, or to a lesser extent, or a larger extent, we don't have unions. So that is an incentive for big corporations as well. So anyway, I mean, there's things that we can do, but the key is just to identify products and companies that are sending stuff north for further processing, and
for us to do them here.
To identify. We know they're crossing our bridges. Just identify those. And I'm talking very simplistic now, and I'm sure there's more to it. But that's what I'm saying.
Wasn't one of the car companies going to come over here and then ended up going to San Antonio a while back, about 10, 20 years ago?
Well, maybe the Toyota, but yeah, we can't compete. I mean, that's even San Antonio's having a hard time recruiting people to work at that huge plant. I'm saying even start small with us. Get the cookie cutter. Once we identify what works, then we can expand on it. But start small and then grow. But we're not even there yet, and that's something that for years and years we've been trying to figure out. And we've had some success. Smaller companies have made Laredo their home, but we need to grow that. So that's one area that I would like to expand on. And of course, the infrastructure, working very closely with Austin, Washington, to getting those big monies for all these road projects that we have, and the Uniroyal area. They're working with the railroads too, trying to expedite the rail traffic too to clear some of these congested areas. So there's so much to do, and this is what makes my job so interesting. Because 1 hour I can be visiting on homeless issues, another hour train issues, another hour infrastructure issues, and then job issues, and then internal issues there with our management. So it's exciting being a mayor, and I truly appreciate the fact that they've given me this opportunity to serve as mayor, and I'm willing, and I'm full time. I had to give up my law practice, which I was kind of ready. In doing that, but now I'm since day one I've been a full-time mayor, and I plan to continue being that.
Thank you for stepping up to the plate.
Thank you, sir.
And here's one. Which of the departments of the city have you, since you've gone in, has dramatically improved?
Well, city manager's office.
Okay, and then what other one?
Well, I think all of them, and I think they're giving us the signal that we're getting close on time. But I would say this new department now that our new city manager Horacio de Leon is this innovator. We need, and that's another point too. I mean, the message is clear out there to all public figures. Taxpayers don't want to pay any more taxes. They don't want any more fees raised.
We saw that.
That's very clear, and that's something that we've been espousing and advocating for también. And I think, la gente está hasta aquí. So we got to look inside. We got to become leaner and meaner, so to speak, as government management, and that's really the task nowadays. That's the goal for this year. And I think council has realized that too, myself and city management también. So we're going to have to provide more with less, and that's a task. So that's a task that our city manager now has, and he's working toward that end.
Okay, that'll be great. Well,
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
All right. Until next time, we'll see you here. You guys be safe.
Thank you.